Crypto is evolving, I was wrong about Coinbase, and meditate through this dip with me. All this and more on... I'm Luke, and this is TLDR, where we catch you up on everything that happened in the Bankless world last week, and as always, there are going to be links down in the show notes so you can do a deeper dive into any of these topics. So before we start, I want to shout out our sponsor, Opolis. Opolis is a co-op type DAO thing that provides employment infrastructure for crypto workers. So that means if you're a freelancer for a DAO, you can get health benefits, payroll stuff, etc., all done in a more crypto native way. And also, there's a bonus 1,000 work tokens and 1,000 bank tokens when you enroll by the end of this year. Nice. Check it out at bankless.cc/Opolis. So the title of this episode of TLDR is Why Crypto is Maturing. Actually, it's probably not. Like, I change my titles right before I post them, but let's go with that anyways. And if you're paying attention to this space, the maturing of crypto is really, really clear. And that theme kind of stuck with me all week. And it started with Market Monday, which talked about how within crypto, like, you have different sectors and different communities emerging. And it's not really just one monolithic crypto space anymore. There's an investment side to crypto with new vehicles for institutions and big money. There's a cultural side to crypto with NFTs and the metaverse on the rise. There's the philosophical or political side to crypto, which leverages DAOs and other coordination tools around public goods. And in between all of those things, there are like countless subdivisions and combinations of all of these different fields. And I firmly believe that there's something in crypto for everyone. And maybe that wasn't the case, 5 years ago, and maybe it wasn't even the case 1 year ago, but the entry points into this space from all different directions are exploding. So all of these things are, happening in parallel, often interweaving and doing so symbiotically. So as I go through the rest of our coverage for this week, see how the crypto space is maturing in different ways and in different sectors. Brian Armstrong came on the podcast this week, and for the newly initiated, he's the CEO of Coinbase, and this episode really blew my expectations away. To be totally honest, and I'm not really sure exactly where I got this from, but up to this point, I had just kind of thrown Coinbase into the soulless tech giant bucket. I saw it as this necessary evil to get to the good stuff, the good stuff being decentralization, self-sovereignty, whatever. But I walked away from listening to this episode feeling pretty much the opposite. I'm now really convinced of Coinbase's long-term values and its crucial position in this space. Brian is really refreshing as a founder CEO with a really clear, practical vision.
I don't like the idea of there being a Coinbase chain. I like the idea of the chains being much more decentralized than that. Now, if we also thought about, okay, well, could we help make a more decentralized chain that truly we didn't control, and maybe we contribute engineers to it. But whenever we kind of looked at that and we got a little closer to making something, I was like, well, that's kind of what the existing chains are doing. I don't know if the world needs another chain at this point. It probably needs one or two of them to just keep making progress on their developer roadmap. Look, you could argue that Coinbase would have another 50 billion on the market cap or something if we had made our own chain. But I'm not in it for just to print a bunch of money or something. I want this to be adopted globally and last, hundreds, thousands of years as the future of money. And so I don't want us to get too into the centralization of any one chain.
I was definitely happy to see, fundamental alignments between the crypto native space and this centralized bridge role that Coinbase is serving. All that said, Coinbase has a lot on its shoulders, facing the pressures of both the traditional world and the crypto native world. On the traditional side, Coinbase is in the regulatory spotlight, with the SEC strong-arming the Coinbase Lend program and shutting it down even after they asked for permission. And then on the crypto-native hand, Coinbase holds a really significant chunk of DeFi assets, and with that comes governance responsibilities. The crypto space, whether it likes it or not, is putting a lot of trust in Coinbase. But after this episode, I'm starting to think that this trust is both necessary and also in good hands. So DC Investor joined David on Layer 0, and I feel like I've kind of gotten to know DC by proxy after following him on Twitter for a while and watching his 5 appearances on Bankless, and I can see why we keep bringing him on time after time. He has a measured, consistent approach to crypto and investing in the whole space, and he took a bunch of lessons, from his experience as an investor in the early days of the internet, and he learned how to be a good investor. future. And as crypto has emerged, DC was ready and applied his skills and developed a number of really sound theses about the space. Most recently, he's fallen into the world of NFT curating and collecting, and he's amassed an insanely impressive portfolio of NFTs. And the value is there in the collection for sure, but DC has these for the long term, and that's a vision that you have to respect. So ENS launched its token and had an airdrop, and you probably got it if you were a Bankless Premium subscriber and had access to our ultimate guide to airdrops. Wink. And ENS is a fundamental piece of this whole ecosystem. I mean, it's definitely a public good, and now it's really becoming public. It makes Ethereum more usable, creating a simple, unified namespace to access this network, from a human perspective. Like the same way that .com revolutionized how we navigate and surf the web, ENS is doing that with .eth. So you can sign in with Ethereum, fill out your address books with your friends' ENS addresses, and so on. Creating these standards has been no small task, but ENS has matured to the point where it's ready to hand over the standard to the community. And I'm fascinated by where all this takes us. Your wallet is your passport to Web3. It's your resume. It's your identity. And I think this eventually evolves to the point where your wallet is kind of your avatar, where you have this IRL physical version of yourself. And then your .eth name is the portal. It's the Ready Player One headset into the metaverse. And also, thanks for the tokens. We also had a live DeFi 2.0 summit, which I was really stoked about. And we had on 5 leaders of some of the coolest new projects out there. And I think this ended up being just like an epic episode that summed up our exploration of exactly what DeFi 2.0 is and what it means for crypto more broadly. So we've covered all of these protocols individually. So Rari, Tracer, Tokamak, Olympus, ALCHEMIX, but I think when they all came together, I think what we learned is that DeFi 2.0 is just about being DeFi native. I think it's just the natural result of these larger OG DeFi protocols codifying, and suddenly you have all this new space where you need these new novel ideas out there on the front lines, taking on more risk, and with that, catalyzing innovation on the space.
One of the favorite quotes that I believe Amin Soleimani, one of my heroes in this space, said about smart contracts risk is it's kind of like the steam engine. It blows up a bunch of times, and then at some point we figure it out and it just works. And overall, DeFi has been blowing up less and less and less over time. And we've kind of been figuring out this whole smart contract thing. And maybe, hopefully, in 5-10 years from now, we're just looking back on like, oh yeah, remember when we didn't know about how to do smart contracts? That was a fun time when everything blew up along the way.
DeFi 2.0 has shown itself to be this composable social layer of DAO to DAO activity. Most of these protocols are already interconnected with each other in some sort of way. And what you get is this values aligned, really efficient ecosystem where liquidity and market creation are just being optimized. I don't think that any of this would be possible without a mature set of primitives that have already bootstrapped themselves into both adoption and resilience. But now there's a new design space on top of that, a new floor of money Legos, and the experimentation thus far has been super encouraging and exciting. Ethereum's roadmap is also really exciting. The proof of stake merge looks like it's going to happen within a year, and that's a pretty conservative time frame from what I've been hearing. Data sharding within the next couple of years, and the building out of the layer 2 ecosystem happening all along. Look, it's ultra scalable Ethereum, modular blockchains, once again, as promised, consensus on the beacon chain, data availability in the shards, and execution on layer 2s. There you go. We also covered staking your ETH with RocketPool, and now there are just a lot of different ways to validate the Ethereum network under proof of stake. You can run your own node, you can stake with a centralized exchange like Gemini or Coinbase, and you can try out decentralized options like RocketPool and Lido. There are valid strategies for whatever your bags look like or whatever your risk tolerance looks like. Cool. We also launched a new show, Overpriced JPEGs with Carly Riley. She had an interview with Betty from Deadfellas and is generally covering the NFT metaverse space, and if you haven't checked out those episodes, they are awesome, so please do. And finally, the price action this week might be ugly, but I am still beautiful. Bullishness is a choice, and today I choose to be bullish. Someone on Twitter told me that I'm not gonna make it, but that does not define me. That does not define me. So with that, I want to quickly shout out our sponsors, ARBITRUM, Ledger, MATCHA, and ALCHEMIX. These projects, in a way, define me. Anyways, this video wouldn't be possible without them, so thanks a lot. And finally, none of this is financial advice. ETH is risky, DeFi is risky, but we're headed west. It's the frontier. It's not for everyone, but we're glad you're with us on the Bankless journey. See you next time.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, head over to Bankless HQ right now to develop your crypto investing skills and learn how to free yourself from banks and gain your financial independence. We recommend joining our daily newsletter, podcast, and community as a Bankless Premium subscriber to get the most out of your Bankless experience. You'll get access to our market analysis, our alpha leaks, and exclusive content, and even the Bankless token for airdrops, raffles, and unlocks. If you're interested in crypto, the Bankless community is where you want to be. Click the link in the description to become a Bankless Premium subscriber today. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for in-depth interviews with industry leaders, Ask Me Anythings, and weekly roll-ups where we summarize the week in crypto and other fantastic content. Thanks everyone for watching and being on the journey as we build out the Bankless Nation.